Hello everyone, and welcome to the Ubuntu Touch Q&A, the UbiPorts Foundation show discussing the development of Ubuntu Touch and our community's questions. This is episode 111, streamed live on October 23rd, 2021. My name is Dalton, and joining me this week are Florian.
Hello everyone.
And Alfred.
Hello.
Hey, excellent. We did it. We got through the intro. It was no problem. And after the intro, we have an excellent roundup of news and questions to get to today. So, of course, keep them coming in live chat. We're going to be taking a few questions from there as well. So let's do it. Oh, yeah, by the way, if you like what we're talking about during this show and you want to get it on your device, head over to devices.ubuntu-touch.io to see if your device is supported. If yours isn't on the list, it's going to need a custom image made for it. Go to the porting documentation at docs.ubports.com/porting to learn more. Okay. We've got a couple things to plug this week, I think. Alfred, since you are so kindly helping co-host today, what do you want to talk about before we start on the UbiPorts stuff?
Yeah, when I'm not working on Ubuntu Touch and related things, I'm actually working on a new project that I've started. Well, kind of new. It's sort of, you can imagine it to be like the WSLG thing. I call it Stereopticon or Linux Stereopticon, which should bring support for graphical Linux applications to Mac OS. In a way that is a little bit faster than WSL can. Yeah, I mean, it would be awesome if people who are interested in that, if they're as crazy as I am, wanting to run Linux applications on Mac OS, and they want to help out, they can check out the code at github.com/Linux Stereopticon. And they can also join the similarly named Telegram group to join the discussion. And yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to everyone who wants to get involved in this quite interesting, to me at least, interesting project.
Great. By the way, the name sounds like a Transformer robot. Was that your inspiration?
No, I like cameras.
Okay. Cameras and robots.
Yeah, okay.
I like turtles.
Sweet. I also have something that I want to plug. If you haven't checked out my new podcast yet, not this one, the other one, linuxafterdark.net. It is a podcast about some of the finer things in Linux life, and not the news, not the current happenings, just what's going on around us and how we can respond to that better. Bit of a philosophical debate, if it were. Episode 2 is out, which is about not being a great idea to wipe someone's only laptop and install Linux on it. And in what situations it is a good idea to do that, and how you introduce people to Linux. I hope you'll check it out.
Cool.
Okay. Now, why don't we get into the real meat of the show, hey? So, first, I'd like to give a big thank you to everyone who voted for UbiPorts in B1 Systems 30 Years of Linux Donation Extravaganza over at linux30.b1-systems.de. UbiPorts will be earning about 1,300-ish euros from this, and there are also a lot of euros going to some huge projects. It was 1,400 euros. And some other big projects are getting it, like the Association for Ideal and GNU Sadel and React OS. So, congratulations to everyone who is receiving from B1 Systems, and thank you again to everyone who voted for us.
Great.
Okay, so Mateo sent in a new app roundup. So this is a roundup of applications that are new to the open store or recently updated that you should check out, including the LightP word processor brought to the store by Nicholas Kola. It is an HTML5 app, and it's a nice word processor with some rich text, touch-friendly design. I installed it on the tablet, and it works pretty well. With a nice little keyboard and everything, it kind of flies. I like it. And up next, also by Nicholas Kola, is Onion Surf, which is a Morph browser with an integrated Tor proxy. It's not perfect yet, so don't use it if you're being chased by the CIA. Probably don't use Ubuntu Touch at all if you're being chased by the CIA. But anyway, he would like some help making this browser better and fixing IP leaks, DNS leaks, and that kind of thing. But it is a fork of Morph browser with changes added to use a local proxy. And it just so happens to run a Tor proxy. So if you want to be more anonymized on the web or blend in a little bit more with Tor users, you can do that. The transmission remote is here as well. It's a transmission client. So you can check on the status of your torrents from anywhere in the world on your Ubuntu Touch device. Transmission is weird that it is this client-server thing, but I think people only know it as the client, like Transmission Qt that they run on, their desktop or whatever. But yes, it is a client-server BitTorrent client. Total Sonic came in with some more apps coming in clutch, including Gem Fork by Aaron Hafer, which is an update to the Gem browser, which is a Gemini and Gopher browser. Yes, those things do still exist, and you can use them on Ubuntu Touch using Gem. And Multimaps, which is a neat little app that uses satellites.pro, which is a map viewing application that lets you see the satellite or maps from a bunch of different map softwares simultaneously. It's pretty cool stuff. I like all these apps. I gave them a try. They're pretty cool. Good work, everyone. Let's re-architect this a bit, and Florian, you go next.
Yeah, sure. So, there is OTA 20 on the horizon. Actually, it's on the horizon already for some time. Because I wanted to push a little bit harder for that. There is a critical bug fix inside for the Sync Evolution client talking to Let's Encrypt protected servers. And Let's Encrypt has rotated their certificates, I think, 3 weeks ago or something like that. And,
well, they rotated them years ago, but the old one expired on the 30th of September. And there was a bug in OpenSSL that meant that it thought that the whole chain was expired.
Thank you. So I had no clue what's going on. I just knew it. And anyway, so we want to push that out because some of our users are affected by that. We originally planned a few more things for OTA 20 feature-wise, but now we want to push that bug fix. So feature freeze for OTA 20 just happened now, as we speak. And the only notable thing that will be visible for probably more users will be then the custom SMS sound thingy. That's a very cool feature that you can finally select your own notification sound for not only for the text messages but also for Telegram and anything that plings on your phone. That's very cool. Thanks to Lionel. And the other thing is that and it's not 100% in, but at least vibrations and LED notification LED will work, hopefully, for all the Halium 9 devices and up. Vibration, I'm pretty sure that's already in and working. For the LED, there is one missing PR, but we hope we can get it in still. And a lot of minor stuff as seen on our project board on our GitHub organization. You can go there always on github.com/ureports, and then on the projects tab, and there are all our OTA boards, and you can see what we are working on for each of those. Anything that's open from 20 now will immediately shift to 21, so we'll continue working on that and hope to fix more and bring a OTA 21 in a shorter period of time now. I was a little bit distracted from that because I was moving to a new place, and that was hell of a work, and you can see already in my background has changed. And also during that time, suddenly, we got a new family member. Our second son was born 3 weeks early. So in case anybody wonders where I have been so long, well, yeah. customizing everything to have now 2 children in the household, and yeah, I'm still working on getting everything under control. But OTA 20 will come. We will start testing probably next week, and we lost Alfred because he doesn't like OTA 20 or what? Okay, Alfred is back. He likes OTA 20. So, help testing. You will find the usual call for testing in the board, in the forums, and yeah, let's see. That should be an easy one. Knocking on wood.
Yeah, thank you for taking that over for me. Getting rid of the OTA of the 1604 OTA cycles has been really helpful for me being able to work on 2004 and actually get things moving forward again. So, huge thank you. Also, congratulations for God's sake. I don't know how you do it, man. But thank you.
Well, to be honest, I mean, you know, I already distanced myself a bit from the Q&As to have a little bit more free time on Saturdays, but I will jump in every time when there is time, of course, and there is something that I can talk about, like this one. And we will see. I mean, life is changing a bit for me, of course. I can feel this already. The times of endless hacking during weekdays until late, they're probably over for the time being. But let's see. A good bunch of time is still available and possible to be scheduled.
Well, I don't know how you do it, but I'm glad that you do.
Yeah, it's fine still. All right.
And going on in the 2004 space, with our next updates to Ubuntu Touch, not OTA 21, we'll let you know when it's coming. Guido has packaged up for us Aphono Qt and Telepathy Aphono. Now, these are really important. One depends on the other. Telepathy Aphono is this huge service that handles the messaging app and grabbing messages from Aphono to put them in history service, and it takes calls and it shows some notifications but not others. It's just a huge piece of work. But it is here. It is in 2004. It built successfully. It still needs more testing, but we've got that packaged up now. Rachanan has been working on a compatibility layer that allows your apps which import Ubuntu.components or whatever to transparently import Lomiri.whatever instead, which is going to be very helpful for people porting their apps from 1604 to 2004. We're very close, I hear, from the Ayatana project to an release of the Ayatana Indicators 0.9.0, which will include a ton of work that has been sponsored by UbiPorts and helped by projects like Mate, and it'll finally bring this all together so that we can bring it in to Ubuntu Touch 2004 so that we don't just have the Wi-Fi indicator and absolutely nothing else showing anymore. I would show you that, but my Xperia is dead apparently. Oh boy, that thing. It's going to be a pain to get it to boot again now, isn't it? Oh well. So once the Ayatana Indicators release is out, we can work on getting it into Ubuntu Touch, and that'll be exciting. Also, Alfred, you didn't tell me about this. What's going on?
I'm sorry. A few weeks back, or a few months back, actually, when I got my PinePhone to run Ubuntu 2004 with Mir client support and things like that, I actually did the initial work of making trust prompts work with Pulse Audio again. And I've basically proposed those changes so that they're up for review. And I've also talked with Rachanan about potential ADB support in Ubuntu 2004. So how we are going to take a look at that, or how we're going to make that work. I've pushed a first packaging effort onto my private GitLab before we import it. And it probably will need some work. It will also need some integration into system settings to make full use of it. And change the settings via GUI, but I mean it's a good first step for sure.
Good. That's some cool stuff, and I'm really excited to continue to do it, and we can continue to do it because of our sponsors. So thank you everyone who supports us on PayPal, Patreon, LibraPay, or directly via IBAN bank transactions. You can find all the ways to do that over at ubports.com/donate. I'd like to thank our sponsors, including our platinum level sponsors, Smooze, Vala, and Pine64. I know that some representatives from Pine64 happen to be in our chat as we speak, so I won't say anything too stupid about that. Did you hear the PinePhone Pro is out? Yeah, you can pre-order it now. You can get receive an invitation to pre-order it if you want to develop on the PinePhone Pro. Pine64.org is where you want to go to learn more about all of that. That's some pretty cool stuff. They didn't ask me to talk about this. I did it anyway. I'd also like to thank our community sponsors on Patreon, including Travis Mackmer, Amalith, Raskignares, and Sensvel, Dan Trevino, Daniel Franzek, Robin Hood, Laszlo Tomas, Ian Locke, Max Fielder, A. Thiel, Casey Lambie, George Toma, Renan Mirkolev, Will Atwood, and Scott Marley. If you'd like to join them and have me potentially mispronounce your name as well, you can head over to patreon.com/ubports and select the community sponsor level there. And we also appreciate everyone who goes over to ubports.com/donate. I've realized that we don't directly thank a lot of people who donate, either because the data isn't there on sites like LibraPay, or just because I suppose it gets lost among everything else. So if you are donating to us, consider yourself personally thanked. And if you would like a personal thank you, you can always message me and I will do that. I really appreciate everyone who makes it possible for us to work on this stuff and pay for servers and stuff too. All right. So we have a great roundup of questions to get to today from the community, and there's some good stuff in here today, but I think I saw something in the live chat. Someone asked, can you install Ubuntu Touch on any device, or does it only work with phones like the PinePhone? You can head over to devices.ubuntu-touch.io to find out if your device is supported and how to support it if not. Thank you for your question. All right, but anyway, these come from our forum over at forums.ubports.com. You can join on over there, and most of the time, Wednesday before the show, we have the thread up. You can ask your question there. You get in early. It's a good way to go. Florian, can you start us out?
Sure. So there is Cliff Cogging asking, the latest UT installer 0.9 appears to create a few problems in use, and there are cases where the older 0.8 installer is more successful. Should the new installer be withdrawn until it can be rectified? And the answer is yes.
Yeah, thanks for asking. Yeah, thank you for asking and reminding me of this. I have set 0.8.9 to the stable channel on Snapcraft. So if you update the snap or if you install the snap now, you'll get 0.8.9 instead of 0.9.1, which needs some help yet. I've also set 0.9 to a pre-release on GitHub, so it reverted back to 0.8 as well. Yeah, so if you're downloading the UBports installer now, you should get 0.8. I'll have to check what's going on in the devices page to make sure that it's downloading the correct version as well and how to fix it if not. But thank you for reminding us.
Thanks.
Yeah. How about the next one, Florian?
Yeah. Virus 288. I am backend Node.js developer. Since Libertine is simply saying something like Docker container, would there be any possibility to access it from outside of the device? To put it simple, I would like to have testing environment in my phone for when I don't have access to my server. Libertine container running Node app with possibility to access that app from outside would be a great idea.
I don't think you have to be... Yeah, I don't think it has to be that difficult. You can... I mean, if you can get NPM installed for your user, you can use it there. And if you host a service on your phone, then you can, unless it's asleep, access it from another device. It's not a great idea, especially since Ubuntu Touch is kind of getting on in age, this Ubuntu 16.04. So You probably don't want to expose services on it out to the internet, but you can. I would probably, that'd be the way I'd do it, is get npm running like in your home directory so that it isn't messing with the system at all, and run your apps that way. But if you turn the phone screen off, randomly your apps will no longer come back because the phone goes to sleep, and it won't tell you when it's going to sleep or when it's going to be awake, because it's just faking being awake all the time. It's actually not. So you can do it. It won't be that great, but in a pinch it could work.
It's the so-called AASS principle. All apps shall sleep.
Well, no, if you run it in the terminal or something, the terminal will sleep. It's a little bit more difficult than I was just saying, actually. You'll need some more work.
But anyways,
this
give
is
it a
why we
try
don't
without.
recommend people do this.
Yeah. But give it a try without the Libertine container. The only drawback, of course, is that after installing an update, you might have issues with your npm and Node.js being removed again. If it's in your home directory entirely, then not.
Yeah, so that could work.
That's the thing that you have to take care of. If you install it into the system, then it will be
It'll
by
definitely go away.
updates. That's the.
But yeah, if you get some of this stuff working without doing sudo mount /-o remount (rw), if you get it working without that, then let us know. That'd be pretty cool. Pretty cool to learn about.
Yeah. Good.
What's next?
Next one. Stan Wood. I've noticed that nearly half of the compatible devices are marked as inactive in the porting section. Oh, including PinePhones on Xperia X Performance, Xiaomi Redmi Note 7, Nexus 5, etc. Will it be a challenge for you to keep those devices in the future OTA cycles with forever missing features and no more maintainers? What happened here?
The devices page inactive stuff is pretty new. It's kind of in a testing phase. We're figuring out what's right and what isn't. Of course, it has marked things like the Xperia X as inactive, which is incorrect. I'm of the mind that I'm pretty sure that it's not possible to do this programmatically, to have software say whether something is active or not, and we'll have to have someone manually going in and updating this every couple of months. But they're trying to test things out, see how it works. Let us know if you have any feedback on that. There's a GitLab link on the devices page where you can submit an issue to give your feedback on that. But you do bring up an interesting question. Like, what's going to go on with devices that don't go on? Like Florian, what's going to go on with the Pixel 2 after you don't care anymore?
Oh, that's a good question. And I mean, also in the context of the 2004 upgrade. So porting is kind of an endless journey, as we said in the pre-show today. But not all the porters can sustain the work on all the devices forever. And I think that with the previous ports, with the legacy ports that we had for Nexus 5, OnePlus One, and so on, they took a lot of time during the porting phase. And we dropped here and there some patches later on to even make them a little bit more polished or to fix problems that we found. And I mean, in the core team, we are not able to sustain all those devices all the time. Myself, I'm working on sometimes here or there, all over the place. I put myself into that mess. Dalton is smiling already, yeah, because I wanted just to explore the space of porting as much as I can do. But I also found out there is a limit of devices that one can maintain at a single time. It's probably limited to 2 or 3 devices that really make sense. Otherwise, you're just getting out of your comfort zone, and then you cannot just keep them all super tidy. But what happens with the Pixel 2 or XL when there is no maintenance anymore? Well, basically in the first hand, it will stay on what it is. With 2004, we shall see. I don't know what will be the changes required for all the ports to be applied. I'm still waiting for some indicators what's happening with kernel patches and features that we need to turn on. For example, we found a nasty one, which is basically user namespace config should be set to on for what we want to have. That means all the devices that we have out need their kernel to be touched. And we will see how that works out, because some of the kernels will report ugly compile errors or might even be prone to crashing at boot. We will see. I remember something about that setting. However, as far as I know, there is no definitive list of devices that cannot upgrade to 2004. But maybe we should start that list now soon. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm doing, we know now that user namespaces are absolutely required. This was something that we weren't sure of before. So enabling them causes a build failure on older devices with 3.4 kernels, we know, which is like the Nexus 5, the OnePlus One, and the Fairphone 2. Those are the originals. And basically anything with a 5.1 port. That includes your devices, Florian.
Not so many, luckily. However, I will test it on the Nexus 6P, which is kernel 3.10. The Pixel is 3.18.
That's going to be a pain too. So yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see if we can get the Fairphone 2 in particular has a kernel which is still maintained by Lineage OS and by Fairphone, the company. So even though it's not our most used device, it seems like a really good starting point to figure out if we can bring it up to 2004. Because that'd make that a really long lifecycle phone, of course. Even though, it's got its issues, but it still has software support from upstream. So that's kind of a big deal. So what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to cap myself at, I'm not sure yet, maybe 40 hours, trying to get the Lineage 18 kernel running with our patches and running Ubuntu Touch 2004. And if we go over that number, bye-bye to the Fairphone 2, the Nexus 5, and the OnePlus One. But I want to know, how much work is this actually going to be? Is it feasible or not?
Yeah.
Yep.
Great.
And it's basically going to be that situation with more devices in the coming weeks, especially with things like ports that we can't contact the maintainer of anymore. It's worked really well to just keep spitting out builds for them because most of the time it doesn't cause any issues. But then when someone comes around and has a problem with the port and files a bug, well, we just have to say, if you want to maintain it, you can. Otherwise, we should probably drop them soon. And this hasn't been a problem up until now for the most part. So that's why it hasn't really been handled or solved. But it is certainly something that's caused a lot of discussion within the team. And I mean a lot.
Yeah, you should also keep in mind, and that's a kind of public service announcement, please port responsively. If you release something to users, please make sure that people are actually getting support for it. It's very important to me, so please consider that when doing a port. If you ever do release anything like a port or an app or some other kind of software to users, you need to be around, and it's certainly helpful for us too to keep on going with as many devices as possible, as long as the maintainer is around.
Someone in chat says that the Fairphone 2 is too expensive for a developer phone and it's too difficult to get a hold of. That may or may not be true, but the thing is that's not the problem that I'm solving for. The point is that Fairphone is helping maintain this, and if I need help with this, there is someone at Fairphone that I can contact for help. And I really appreciate his help, by the way, if you're watching. So I can't get that with LG or with OnePlus, so I'm going to do it with Fairphone first.
The good thing is that the SoC of Fairphone 2 and the OnePlus One is the same, so we could actually try to get that kernel also fixed.
It doesn't mean anything. You know this. The Android Common Kernel doesn't care.
Let's see.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Basically, I don't think I'll be the one doing it. We'll leave it at that.
That's fine. Let's do that spike and see what comes out of it.
Yep, that's the point. Let's just see what happens, and if it's good, then it's good. If not, then it's not. We hold your future in our hands, but it's much less exciting than that. Alfred, what was next?
Opal Javai asks, could the camera app be accessible from the lock screen for a quick pick without needing to type your PIN?
I've looked into the code of Lomiri, and yes, this is possible. It already does it for the phone app.
Exactly, yeah.
So there is the concept of a locked app in Lomiri, and you can use that possibly to launch the camera app in addition to the phone app. Right now it's hard-coded to the phone app, but it could be possible to make the camera app work too. The problem is that then the app needs to understand that it's running in locked mode, and it needs to not allow access to anything except taking pictures in that mode. I think it's possible for the camera app to do this, but it's going to be a lot of work. So if someone wants to work on that, I'm just letting you know it'll be a lot of work, but it is totally possible, and the primitives are there for it. I would love to see it, though.
And I think it's a long-standing feature request on our bug tracker. It's probably one of the issues on GitHub with a lower number in the range of 200 to 300 or so. So it's around for 5-6 years. Yeah, and because it's obvious, even things like the Fairphone 2 has a button that you could use for a quick camera opening and take a picture thingy. But yeah, so far nobody had really time or momentum to wire that up. But could be a good thing if somebody wants to get their fingers dirty with app suspension, lifecycle management, whatsoever, and permissions.
Yeah, and I think that'd be pretty cool. Let us know if you need any help with that, of course. Total Sonic had a question. And Florian, let's let Alfred talk first, but I think that you had some thoughts on this. Us users tend to fill up these Q&As with feature requests for things that we would most like to see develop sooner rather than later. I wonder what this question could be in response to. Thank you to everyone who sent us nice notes after the last episode, by the way. But what things would you, the team, like to see added to Ubuntu Touch by your fellow developers and community first? Alfred, why don't you start?
Wow. I'm not sure if I should actually start because it's a big thing. I'm thinking about a big feature request or feature enhancement for the OS. Dalton and I have talked about it very recently. It is... Oh, that look. Wow.
No, sorry. Someone just messaged me on Telegram. So.
Okay, so as you might have noticed from past Q&As, I've been using a Mac for a lot of my stuff, for laptop related things as my work machine. And Apple has one interesting feature that I would really like to see on Ubuntu Touch as well, and that is called Handoff. And that one is, it allows you to do things on your phone, like browsing the web and changing documents. Then you take your laptop, open it, unlock it, and the laptop already knows that you are working on something on the phone. Would you like to continue doing that on your laptop now? And something like this would be very cool, very featureful and very important for my use cases, because the thing is, there are so many things that you can do with only one device. There are limits, and if you ever switch over to something and you want to have tasks work across multiple devices, you need a solution for that. Now, I totally understand that people might have privacy concerns, but there are ways to implement this in a secure and privacy-friendly manner. It just needs some efforts put into it, and just think, I'm having the same look as Dalton is having right now in my mind, just dreaming of it. Um,
So yeah, that is a lot of work, right?
exactly, yeah.
Because I mean, this is something that Convergent apps, in a certain way, enables because the same app is running on all the platforms. Therefore, it knows its own data types and it knows how to know what you were working on before because it's the same app. So, convergence is one of God, what a word that includes is a prerequisite for some of that. And also, good data sync primitives are also a prerequisite for that. So you need to be able to sync whatever whatever data you want from one device to another. And then on top of that, you need to see, I want to contribute this data to be synced, and this is what the user was last working on. So this is something that Apple was able to do because they had iCloud integrated into every part of the system, which was very... They got smarts, right? They go over many years to make things possible. So, you know, that would be a very far future feature, but it is possible and it is pretty exciting.
Yeah, and because I've read someone in YouTube chat mentioning that sounds like an app. Well, it's something that the operating system provides to an app. So the application, so not to duplicate everyone's work over and over again, and having every developer implement it in his or her own way for no benefit at all and not sharing the work, it's helpful to have the operating system provide those primitives to the application so that the application can synchronize across different devices without having to do much on the developer's side for the application. So there is something to be said about making use of operating system features for an application developer, because the application developer in the end doesn't mostly want to care about the workings of the synchronization. They just want an API. They want to use that. And then we can fix and figure out how to make this work in the operating system, which is my personal preferred way of doing things. And there's also something for Content Hub that I've been thinking about, and that would play into it also, so that applications can have this unified layer for sharing the data and making use of those kinds of functionalities. It is convergence on steroids, so to say.
Oh boy, which kind of convergence? Let's not talk about that right now.
Yes.
But yeah, this is something that the primitives that Canonical left behind allow for, with a unified Content Hub and a lot of things that they've created make building on top to make these things possible. It just takes a lot of work. So, you know, these are big future goals, but they are possible. Chris Wyatt says Systemd Home-D might be able to help with that. Absolutely not. Because Systemd is about having your data on one place, not about having it in lots of places. And you could, you can sync your data with any Nextcloud or your Google Drive. It's like, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What matters is that the app says, I have this data, and I want it to be everywhere now. And that's it.
Right. And it's
Florian,
much
you
quicker
had
than
some thoughts.
synchronization.
Oh,
Sorry.
So Florian also
quicker.
had... I'm going. Florian also had some thoughts about, what we want to see and how that was interesting.
I mean, I read this question and immediately I thought, well, if I'm working on the project all of that time, I really don't see so much my own needs as a user, because I'm working on this and that, and you always get distracted and merging here and there. And then I was thinking, okay, gosh, I don't even know what I would require so I don't know, so deeply that I can express it immediately. So I was thinking a little bit now over the last minutes of the show, But there are actually now some things that came to my mind. So it's not that just I'm completely blank and I say, I'm working on internals, I'm working on, I don't know, steering the whole project in some way. I also see some features that ultimately I would love to see improved. So one thing is, of course, let's say performance and slickness of everything. In some places, it's just that the phone feels kind of too slow to respond to what I want to do, especially when you want to do something very quickly. Just unlock, do something, lock again. Just the usage of the phone shouldn't block you from doing other stuff. It should be a real responsive tool. And I think we could improve those things in many areas. The other thing, of course, is battery lifetime. That goes together with that a little bit. So if you're wasting a lot of CPU cycles because we are doing always a lot of unnecessary stuff, then it also wastes battery, of course. But also overall, our energy saving is not as good as on Android and iOS that we know. Those two things, that would be just more, bring it more into the perspective of a really good companion of your daily business. You don't have to worry about charging. You can take it out. It responds immediately to what you need. And you're not just held up by managing your phone rather than managing things with your phone. I mean, basically...
So you want to polish the thing that we've already got.
Yeah, I mean, that's in many areas we started.
You like it.
Yeah, it's this. We started so many efforts around here and there, but we should also polish that performance-wise and battery-wise. There's a lot more room to improve. And there is one annoying thing that I really want to be fixed. It's a very concrete thing. We need to be able to switch faster between network and Wi-Fi, because every time that I'm changing places, and I'm doing this now, going back and forth from my apartment to my place, to my office and so on, I was moving much more in the last 4 weeks between places, and I always noticed that the phone lags behind with switching network between those networks. How to say?
That's very interesting. I wonder if Network Manager in 2004 is going to help with that, but we'll have to see.
I don't think so, because
watch.
it was never meant to be as quick as, for example, Android can do it. Yeah, and
but
the
it
biggest
is now
thing,
with so many projects doing it. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, but let's try this with 2004. But the interesting thing is still, I walk out of my apartment, I go to the tram station. I want to know when the next tram is coming. I take it out. It still displays that I'm in my Wi-Fi in my home. I'm already 200 meters away. And then I'm looking at the indicator, and the indicator has no signal but Wi-Fi. Then it finally collapses. I get my LTE symbol. Then I open the app, and still nothing happens because the darn DNS server is not switched over correctly. It's still pointing to my home Wi-Fi DNS. Please fix that.
We'll have to look more into that. That does sound interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think some of the parts can be Network Manager, but also... some of those parts are just related to, I don't know, our overall stuff around. But anyways, if that's going to be quicker, people will be much happier, because you take out your phone and it works with network wherever you are. Would be cool. Ubiquity. Ubiquity. How's that English word?
I have no idea what you're talking about, but okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So Florian says he likes what we have. He just wants it to work better.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Alfred knows that we've been talking about things like this a lot lately. And I thought that... So, of course, in the last episode, we were talking about how there's a lot of work to be done. And we really want help with it. Well, I was kind of going along that train and thinking, well, if we just had less to do... then everything would be good, right? So how better to have less to do than to make a minimalist operating system? Instead of having this thing that runs all of the apps that you want and all of the does everything. What if we didn't? What if we took a bunch of features out? But then I realized Marius correctly stated that doesn't reduce the amount of work that we have to do. It just changes it. Because things like hardware support and making it feel fast, and the things that are more immediately needed, like making 2004 possible instead of these dreams that we have for the future, don't change if you remove the features that we want to do in the future. I do still want to look into the slow technology and the calm technology movements and try and learn what we can from there. But adding that as a feature into what we're doing is just going to be a part of what we're doing instead of being able to make a smaller operating system. So that was kind of a bummer when I realized that, but hey, what are you going to do? Sometimes we think things and sometimes they're wrong. Hey, you should let us know. What do you think is so interesting about Ubuntu Touch? What do you think is cool that you want to see continue and move into the future? And not like, I don't mean like your wish list of things that you wish it could do today. I don't mean like, boy, it'd be really cool if NFC did this, or if I had a payment app. I don't mean that. I mean like, imagine, dream for a moment, if you will, what a phone could be like if you were in control of it, and what you would do differently. Pop it over in our forum over at forums.ubports.com. That should about do it for today, I think. If you want to...
No, it's okay.
Oh, okay.
Just unmuted.
If you're interested in what we're doing and you want to see if it runs on your device, I see we've had a lot of questions about does it run on my device. Well, we have a source for you over at devices.ubuntu-touch.io. What we're talking about sounds interesting. Maybe check out if your device is supported over there. Maybe pick one up. And if it's inactive, maybe you want to try helping out the port. That'd be cool too. If you want to learn how to port, docs.ubports.com/porting to learn more about that process, but please port responsibly. And realize that there's a lot of there's responsibility to users once things are in the wild. But we appreciate everyone who helps us out, and especially those who are still in the community and working to help people install Ubuntu Touch on the devices they maintain as well. Man, that's awesome to see. Hey, the fun doesn't stop here. You can chat with us at lots of places like Facebook, Twitter, PixelFed, Mastodon, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And you can also get our news directly in your chat client at Telegram over at... links are in the description for all of those. You can also chat with us on Telegram at @ubports. And you can find us at our forum over at forums.ubports.com. We really appreciate all of you joining us this week, and we will talk to you in a couple weeks. But until then, it's been real cool. Thanks for joining us. And if you like this, hit the like button. It's been pretty cool. And maybe subscribe to the channel so you never miss a video that we do in the future. So, we'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.